I saw a story about Sir Lewis and Kimi Antonelli this weekend after Spa. Obviously, a very mixed weekend for the pair of them. Overall, quite disappointing from the pair of them in a sense. Aside from Hamilton's performance during the Grand Prix race, it was really a bad weekend for the pair of them because they both went out in the first part of qualifying for the sprint and also the Grand Prix as well. Mistakes from the pair of them, it was not easy. And these are two drivers that are at opposite ends of the careers almost. Kimi Antonelli just starting out in Formula One and being a rookie, 18 years of age, lest we forget. Sir Lewis Hamilton, 40 years of age, in his, what is this now? This is his 19th season consecutively in Formula One, one of the most experienced drivers in the history of the sport, the most successful driver in the history of the sport as well. And I think it's kind of sweet that Hamilton has comforted Antonelli after what was a very difficult weekend. You guys probably already know that I'm involved in the Grid Talk podcast. Sometimes I'm on it, sometimes I'm not. And, one of the topics that was brought up in the ratings show that was on that was basically that, this is the first weekend really of the year that Kimi Antonelli looked out of his depth. The big fear with Antonelli coming into Formula One so young, so inexperienced, because, he only had 1 year in F2, never raced in F3, clearly talented enough, but not quite consistent enough. And a lot of people were worried that would be a weakness that would be exposed in the spotlight, the global spotlight of Formula One. There is nowhere to hide, particularly for a team like Mercedes as well. A lot of people were worried that Antonelli would be a shrinking violet, effectively. He'd be thrown in the deep end without a paddle and not know how to swim, It's not really a position you want to be in. Despite that, though, Kimi Antonelli has shown some incredible bursts of speed. The podium in Canada, the sprint pole at the Miami Grand Prix, this is a kid who's done really, really well at times. Not perfect, though, of course. That first lap incident with Max Verstappen at the Austrian Grand Prix, that was very much an egg-on-face moment, a classic rookie error. And Antonelli did make a few rookie errors during the Belgian Grand Prix, but Hamilton has comforted him. Hamilton's put an arm round his shoulder and just been like, it's all right, bro. It happens. Don't worry. He might have said exactly that. I don't know. But let's have a look at what he said publicly about this anyway. Full article on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Kimi Antonelli's struggles at Mercedes have prompted an outpouring of support from Lewis Hamilton and internal crisis talks at Brackley. Amid growing pressure and another disappointing weekend at Spa, the 18-year-old broke down in tears during a media session. Despite his form slump, Mercedes is still expected to retain him for 2026, but not all pundits are convinced of that. I would take the pressure off Antonelli and send him to Flavio Briatore. Oh, right. Let's just think about that statement. Ralf Schumacher thinks that to put Antonelli under less pressure, he wants to send him to Flavio Briatore at Alpine. Let's just consider what is actually going on here. I'm sorry, Ralph. Come on, mate. That is like sending somebody to the UK if they don't like grey skies and rain. That is just going to make everything worse. That is pouring lighter fuel onto the fire and expecting it to go out. But let's continue. Suggesting a rumoured move to Alpine would benefit the teenager. It wouldn't. Hamilton, now at Ferrari, made a rare visit to the Mercedes motorhome at Spa after learning of Antonelli's emotional state. I can't imagine what it's like at 18, or trying to imagine what it's like at 18 to do something that he's doing, said Hamilton. For reference, Hamilton made his F1 debut at 22, so he was a few years older than what Antonelli is at the moment. He was thrown into the deep end at 18. He didn't even have a driving licence when he first started racing. Yeah, true. I think there's a huge responsibility on the man's shoulders. He's doing a great job and he's got a great team of people around him too. Bono is next to him. You couldn't ask for a better man. So I think you just have to take it slow. Antonelli later confirmed the exchange. He came to say hello to the team and we exchanged a few words, said the Italian to Sky Italia. He told me to keep my head up and that it's normal to have bad weekends and to keep believing. It was really nice. But Mercedes' problems extend beyond its rookie. Between Spa and this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix, an emergency technical meeting is being held at Brackley involving both Antonelli and teammate George Russell. Engineering boss Andrew Shovlin explained, "We can't get rid of the instability on corner entry. It's like that early wing change led us astray, and we need to fix that. Other teams can clearly balance their cars better. We're looking at all the design steps we've taken in recent races. We think there's a solution somewhere, but we need to first figure out where we took the wrong turn. Retracing the breadcrumbs, as it were." Very much for that. Shovlin acknowledged the experience gap between the drivers. George is relying on years in Formula One to squeeze the most out of a difficult car. Kimi doesn't have the experience, and that's reflected in his results. Still, he insisted, what helps George will also help Kimi. We need to get back to a baseline where the car functions normally. Russell agreed, the car just doesn't feel as good as it did earlier in the season. We're missing stability at the rear. Kimi and I are both making more mistakes. We really need to come together as a team. It might not be as simple as taking a few steps back, but it's usually not that simple. We're going to have a proper conversation this week to try and sort it out. Yeah, I mean, and as well, that instability, that unpredictability, that is not what you want around any track. But Hungary, coming up, you need a car that is really planted. It's going to be difficult. That's a long race if your car's not behaving well and you've got a queue of cars behind you looking to overtake you. So, yeah, look, mistakes happen. He's inexperienced. He had a bad weekend. Even George Russell made a mistake in sprint qualifying, Obviously, in the qualifying for the Grand Prix, he was a lot better. But, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's not an easy car to drive. And he's, got a lot of pressure on him. So, for me, Antonelli's going to have bad weekends. It's natural. Just don't send him off to Alpine. It'd kill him. It'd absolutely kill his confidence. It really would do. But who would be better at Alpine? Gasly or Antonelli? Hypothetical scenario, because it's not going to happen, but who would be better? That's a fascinating one. I'll let you decide in the comments below. And I'll reply with who I think would probably come out on top if they were to be at Alpine together next season. They won't be, but let's just have a bit of fun. Why not? Like, share, comment, subscribe as always, guys. Have a fantastic day around the world today, and we'll see you very soon.